Maybe you found solid gold in something that nobody else is offering, or maybe you're about to step on a landmine that other people have already navigated. And that's part of choosing those competitors that are seasoned. If they're seasoned, there may be a reason they haven't already dove into that. What's up, hard chargers, and welcome back to another episode of Hodgepodgepreneur with me, Kyle Miller. And if you're anything like me in this moment, you're getting a little long in the top, you're getting a little round in the middle, and you're getting a whole lot of impatient with everything. If you're watching this and you note the date, you will see that this was during the coronavirus, which is why I say that, and which is also why I look like a... Hopefully the history books were good to us if you're watching this in the future. And if you're watching this right now, you are fired up and excited just like me, because we are on part 3 of a 4-part series on how to write an actionable business plan. Now, if you missed the other 2, tags should be coming around up here. Make sure you click on those and go watch them. The first episode was all about setting up your business. I had tips in there for how to name your business. We had tips in there for EIN number and LLC setup, everything that was needed to get started in the baseline of creating the business itself. And then episode 2 was all about marketing and defining that target audience, and then allowing that definition of who your ideal client is to drive which marketing method you use to reach them, whether that's social media or TV or grassroots marketing. But today in episode 3, we are going to get into the competitor analysis. Now, the reason that a competitor analysis is so important is because there's a thing known as the market. And I know a lot of people say, what is the market calling for? What is the market demanding? And they don't necessarily realize what that means. What that means is that there are all these people out there, magic fingers. There are all these people out there that are interested in your product and service. And all of the expectations on what you should be offering and what they should get and for what price they should get it for. And after all those people come together, you get what is called the market. And the market tells you what you're going to do, not the other way around. So in a competitor analysis, if you do it right, you can find out what the market is calling for by looking at what the competition is offering and what they're not offering. You can look at their reviews, all these other things that help you gauge what it is that you should do at a minimum and where you can go above and beyond. So let's get into it with the first part of this, which is defining who your competitors are. So when choosing which competitors to look at, I would say that you need to take a few things into account. First of all, just because they're new doesn't mean that it's something that is going to have legs, meaning is it something that's going to go the distance. So I don't necessarily think that you shouldn't look at new competitors in the area, because I think new competition is what keeps the old competition on its toes and what keeps the product or service evolving to what the clients and the market are calling for. So I think that you do have to pay attention to some of the new competitors in the area, but just know that just because they're open and they're doing business doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be open and doing business this time next year. So with that said, I do think that it's important to look at some of the competitors that are seasoned in your industry, meaning that they've been around for a while. And if they've been around for a while, they must be doing something right. So what is it that they're doing? Whenever you're choosing these folks, look at their reviews online. Nowadays, almost every industry, every product has a spot online, whether that's Google or whether that's Facebook or whether that's TripAdvisor, whatever industry you're in, there's usually a platform out there that says who's the best in that industry. Angie's List is another example. So make sure you go out there and you look at who are these competitors and where they're ranking on that. You want to look at the bad competitors. So I'm not saying steer away from the folks who have 1-star reviews, because that can tell you what it is that they're doing that is lacking, what it is that people don't like about that, so that you can steer away from that. And then look at the competitors who have 5-star reviews, because that will tell you what they're doing that is positive and what they're doing that people actually like. So that way you can replicate that. And I'm not saying rip off what they got. I'm saying replicate the efforts and the minimum requirements that they are putting out there that people are liking. Just because a restaurant cooks good food, I'm not saying go and rip off their menu and do everything that they're doing. I'm saying that you need to offer good food too. It's just a matter of mixing up the competitors you're looking at so you can get a good round picture of what the market is calling for. And when you're looking at these competitors, an easy way to do your analysis of them is to go to their website. On their website, they'll list all kinds of things on there. They'll list about us, they'll list prices, sometimes they'll post contracts on there, sometimes they'll post material on there that talks about the products or services that they're offering. And that's a good way of knowing what it is that the competition is doing. A very important thing, obviously, to look at when you're doing this analysis is what do they charge? What they charge usually based off of what they have experienced people will pay for that product or service. So whenever you're thinking about what to charge, which in part 2, we talked about how much each lead would be worth to you. Like whenever you convert somebody to a paying client, how much would they pay for your product or service? That information is driven by this right here. How much are your competitors charging clients? Because if you come in and you way overcharge, then obviously you're going to have a hard time getting business. If you way undercharge, there may be a reason that the competitor is not able to charge such a small amount. So take, for example, my favorite show, The Office. Michael Scott on The Office goes and starts his own paper company, the Michael Scott Paper Company. Clever name. And whenever he starts his paper company, he undercuts all the competition on price. And his accountant says, hey, congratulations, you're about to go out of business. And Michael's like, oh, how could that be? Sales are up, we're doing good. And he said, well, why do you think it is that you're able to offer such a low price? And Pam jokingly says, corporate greed? And he says, no, it's because as you grow, so too do your expenses. So as you grow, you need more people to help out with customer service. So you have to hire more employees. As you grow, you need more trucks to help deliver your product. So you have to go out and buy trucks. So you do want to make sure that you price it correctly so that you're not overcharging, but also so that you're not undercharging and you don't have room in the margins to sustain growth. Because then the competition is just going to sit back and let you look like a fool whenever you have to go and ask for more money or whenever your prices finally are going to be the same as theirs. Now, it's up to you to decide whether that's a competitor advantage to you or not. Sometimes it helps to come in, undercut everybody, get some momentum going, and then increase the price. But you got to remember that that can also make a lot of people mad depending on how quickly you have to do that in order to sustain the growth that you're experiencing. The next part of this is, what do they offer? What does the competition offer? So in property management, when I was doing property management, we had to make sure that we were offering what other competitors in the industry were offering. So after I figured out what it was that they're charging for prices and where I could fit in with a price, I had to look at what kind of services they were offering for that price. Because some people would not do maintenance as part of the fee. Some people would do maintenance as part of the fee. Some people would not do tenant placement. Some people would. Some people would give you a guarantee that they'll get you a renter within 30 days. Some people did not. So there was a matter of what they were offering in order to charge what they were charging. So if you're going to charge the same amount, you got to make sure you're offering somewhere in the ballpark of the same product or service that the other folks are offering. And if they're not offering something, there's an opportunity there, which we'll get into opportunities here in a second when we talk about the SWOT analysis. But you want to make sure that at a bare minimum, you're offering what everybody else in the industry is offering. And then you can look at the things that some competitors are offering that other ones aren't, and why that might be good and why that might be bad. So again, what is the market requiring at a bare minimum? Whenever you walk into a restaurant, you expect it to be clean, you expect there to be good customer service, you expect people to be friendly, and you expect the food to taste good and get to your table in a timely manner. These are all parts of that product that they're giving me. That is all part of the service that they're providing. And those are all bare minimum standards. So make sure you're meeting those bare minimum standards and expectations of the market, and then see where you can go beyond that. So now, based off of who the competition is, what they're offering, and what they're charging, you want to compile a SWOT analysis. And a SWOT analysis stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Now, you're going to want to look at this through two lenses. The lens of where you are and the lens of where the competition is. So on strength, what is your strength? What is the competition's strength? What is your weakness? What is the competitor's weakness? So on and so forth. So let's start with strength. What are your strengths and what are the competitor's strengths? So part of identifying the strengths is looking at and being honest with what the competition is doing. I think a lot of times when people open up a business, they want to try to pump themselves up and say, I'm going to be better than the rest. I know what I'm doing. They don't. That's why everybody's going to come over to me. And I think you can do that in a healthy way and an unhealthy way. And I think in the healthy way, you say to yourself, I'm going to do better than them, but what is it that they're doing good? And what can I do good? But I think that the unhealthy side of that is you don't listen to it. And anything that they're doing where they've made money off of it, you make up excuses as to why it worked for them, but why it's not a good thing to do. And so I think that when you're looking at the strength, you have to look at what it is that the clients are actually paying for, what it is that the clients are actually leaving 5-star reviews for, what it is that keeps clients coming back to them time and time again. Next, you're going to look at the weaknesses of the competitor and your weaknesses. Now, oftentimes for a startup business, I can tell you right away, one of the weaknesses is that nobody knows that you're there. And one of the weaknesses of the competitor is that they can get old and stagnant. So though that is a weakness, one of the opportunities there is that in America, the great thing is new competition comes along all the time. And what that does is it either introduces new things or it requires competitors to up their game in order to continue to compete. And so if you don't up your game and somebody comes in that's brand new and does a way better job than you, then people start realizing that there's something better and they're going to start giving their money to that person instead. And then the competitors who refuse to evolve fall by the wayside. So even though it is a weakness, it can also offer an opportunity depending on who the competitors are in your area and what they're doing. Which leads me into the next part, which is opportunity. Whenever you look at what the competitors are doing and you look at 3 or 4 of them, you may notice a gap that nobody is filling. Now, there may be a reason that nobody is filling that gap, and you might find that out the hard way. So make sure you don't kick the fence down before you know what it's holding back. There may be a reason that the competitors are steering clear of something because maybe it's cost prohibitive, maybe it's illegal, or maybe the clients just don't care about that as much as you do. So just because you like something and you and your immediate circle of friends and family like that something doesn't necessarily mean that the market as a whole is going to like that thing. And so, like I said, being in business is all about recognizing what other people want, not what you want, and what other people like and not what you like. So when you're looking at those weaknesses and you're identifying those gaps, see if you can fill those gaps, but be wary and make sure that it is something that is worth pursuing and do your research on it. Maybe you found solid gold in something that nobody else is offering, or maybe you're about to step on a landmine that other people have already navigated. And that's part of choosing those competitors that are seasoned. If they're seasoned, there may be a reason they haven't already dove into that. And the last one is threat. So what threats loom to you? And some of those threats could be the fact that the competitors are steadily growing and they're steadily investing money in research and development. It could be that they have a lot of talent in town. It could be that they have a prime location that you just can't replicate that. Part of the threat is to yourself is just how good are you going to do on your opening day, your opening week, your first year in business. Because when you're new, people don't know you yet. They don't know what they're going to get. So you only have so many opportunities to make a first impression before finally it all dies out. Because in that first few months, weeks, years that you're open, that will set the tone for whether or not people will leave the competitor to come over to you or give you a portion of what they're already giving the competitor and frequent both of you. So make sure you're looking at the threats that are out there and make sure that you have a threat to offer of your own. So that wraps up episode 3. Again, if you didn't catch the other 2 episodes, make sure you click on those. And the 4th and final episode is going to be coming out in the next day or 2. And that is going to be an episode covering finances in your first year of what you need to worry about whenever it comes to finances. So don't forget to tune into that. Don't forget to download the template down below. And of course, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you get the reminders. I appreciate you guys stopping in, and I'll see you on the next episode of Hodgepodgepreneur. Keep charging hard, hard chargers.